never looked at other countries. But now that criteria has changed, all countries are not as friendly as giving jobs. Short term is a problem, and long term is definitely a problem with many of them. So, therefore, it's important to figure out, one, is cost the priority? Is jobs a priority? What is the end result? So, in terms of a quick ready reckoner, the easiest way is $50,000 to $55,000 a year multiplied by the currency of the country you want to go. The more difficult area would be to know which country is giving you a work visa, if that is important. So probably you need to work backwards. First, find out what is it the outcome. Are you just looking at a great education, happy to come back? Are you looking at a great education with opportunities to stay back? Are you looking at short-term stay, only a 2-year employment? Are you looking long-term? Now, sometimes students get carried away by the marketing hype. In India, because there are so many fairs, every country is trying to attract the Indian student with all kinds of promises. It's for the student to look at the education modules, the costing, and the work visa opportunities. Every consulate's website is very clear on who will get the work visa and what are the criteria. So the student cannot claim, look, I went to an education fair and I thought this was a great opportunity. Please check information from the websites and then take a call. So I always begin with India because India is also booming, and at the moment there are some international programs in India. So you can check that out if education is the priority. Again, Asia is booming also in terms of education. So you have Dubai, which is emerging as a knowledge hub. You have many Indian universities in Dubai. You have Manipal, you have BITS Pilani, you have Amity. And Dubai is one place where universities from around the world are delivering their courses. So you have the country which is best for you, no one else can tell you. It depends on you, the student, on which country. Otherwise, if you're happy to come back, UK is the only 1-year master's program. Quick in, quick out. You can go after your 3rd year, study a master's program and come back. So the best country is for you to decide, are you happy with what you want to do, or do you want, so what is the criteria? Is it education? Is it jobs? You must be very clear. Singapore, Hong Kong have a range of universities. The top universities are definitely more competitive, but it is for you to decide, am I happy just going there? Then you have PSB Academy, James Cook, MDIS. Both Singapore, Dubai have created an opportunity for all other universities around the world. So you'll have Australian degrees, New Zealand degrees, European degrees, American degrees being delivered in Dubai and Singapore. So that's an option. Moving forward to the traditional countries that we've been known, US, Canada, UK. The good news is they have a range of universities to suit almost every single kind of profile, budget, depends on what you want to do and what is your budget. But each one has a different work visa after you graduate. Canada at the moment is probably more popular than any other country because Canada is giving a 3-year work visa after any 2-year degree program or a diploma. So you could do a 2-year diploma or a 2-year degree and you would get a 3-year work visa. After 1 year of full-time work, you can then apply for residency. So those who are looking for a more long-term stay option, Canada could be something you can consider. Be careful. The most important part of Canadian education is it has two kinds of postgrad degrees. One is the postgrad diploma. This doesn't need a 16th year of education. It used to accept students who are in their third year, but this year, due to high demand, I'm noticing that students who are getting an admit are those who have completed their 3-year degree. So if you are looking at Canada, want to go quickly, you can go for postgrad diplomas for 2 years or postgrad certificate for 1 year. And there are many ways around it. Masters in Canada would require 16th year of education. So mostly you would complete an MCom and an MA in India and then go. Depending on what course you want, you may either need a GRE or a GMAT or nothing at all. Almost all countries outside India definitely need a TOEFL. TOEFL or the IELTS are simply exams to say how do you speak, how well do you speak, understand, and comprehend English. It is a very, very important criteria in Canada. So students who are looking at Canada should take the IELTS, which is a test of English fluency, very seriously, work hard on it, don't take it randomly, and try and get a good score. Good score means at least 7.5 in each band. Whenever you're applying to any colleges or countries, normally my process advice would be don't go purely by ranking lists and just apply to the top 10 or top 20 or top 30. Make a rational list. Usually we say 3 ambitious, which are above your profile, 4 moderate, which match your profile, and 2 safe. For those applying for undergrad America, there are 3 ways you can apply. Early decision means if you choose it and you get it, you have to go. Early action is non-binding and regular applications continue for a very long time. While deciding your choice of universities, I think budgets is very, very important. Earlier, students could fund part of their education through on part-time work, and now all of it is becoming very difficult, very, very high. Very high costing. And so the budget must be very clear. There is no way the money will suddenly come from anywhere. The money has to be paid by the family, and the family should have a budget. And you need to include cost of tuition fee, room, living, insurance, miscellaneous, because the part-time work that students are getting is not enough to pay really for major things. Jobs in every field are available. Industrial psychology, software, of course, is the highest employer. But you need to look at, just like you have Naukri.com, Times.com in India, you have a lot of job search engines within Canada. It's better to go through a couple of websites to know where is the job demand. 6.5 IELTS is minimum, but some of the top schools, especially if you are looking at immigration, they want 8 or 9. So you need to see which college you want to go to. 6.5 in each band is probably the minimum. If you're going for a residency, you can go through the postgrad diploma route. Once you've got it and you've got residency, then your master's degrees are almost free or highly subsidized. Any medical program like physiotherapy, dentistry is very difficult to get, because you need a license to practice in Canada. You can go through the healthcare route, get your residency in Canada, and then apply for a master's, because on an Indian passport, you're unlikely to get a license to practice in a medical or a paramedical field. Academic marks differs for each university. So it depends on the university, depends on the marks, and that is differs for each university. If you've got an 8 in the IELTS on each band, scholarships are not based on IELTS, they are based on academics of the last 3 to 4 years. So that's more, so IELTS is one of the factors, but not the only factor. At this point, if anybody wants long-term stay in Canada, probably the bachelor's degree is the better way to enter, because you can go to the best of them. Still, there are some scholarships available at each university, but they will be primarily based on marks of last 3 years. Medical in Canada is a post-undergrad degree. So first you have to finish a bachelor's degree in biochemistry or bioscience or life science. Then you take the medical entrance, then you can study medical there. It's not possible to get directly into the medical courses straight after the 12th. Those who are looking for settling in Canada long term, the younger you go, the better you are. So if you can go at an undergrad, the probability of getting in is higher. Genetic counseling are very postgrad, PhD kind of courses. So I doubt if you'll get that kind of job straight away after an undergrad. If you are looking at doing a master's in Canada and at a subsidized rate, then diploma is probably the better way to go. Computer engineering at an undergrad admit is possible. Postgrad admits in master's computer engineering are extremely competitive. So the acceptance rates are less than 5%. So you really have to be very, very good, very clever, very high marks, have got a brilliant resume, good GRE to get a master's degree entry in Canada. JEE scores are not valid in Canada. They actually don't need any entrance exam except the marks of 10th, 11th, 12th and the IELTS. You can apply with 10th, 11th and 12th predicted, and you really don't need the JEE for entry to engineering in Canada. If you are looking at Canada, it is just better to enter with the PR, work there, and then apply for an MBA. MBA needs 3 to 4 years of full-time work after your bachelor's degree. That work can be literally anywhere, but obviously if it's in Canada, it makes it easier. All applications to Canada, or in fact any other country, begin about 9 to 12 months before your point of entry. So if you want to go to Canada this year, in August, you should have already completed or started your application. Canada undergrad does not need the SAT. It's just based on marks and the IELTS. With commerce, you can do anything. There is a wide range from finance to marketing to accounts, data science, all comes under. So depends on the student what you want to do in commerce. If you are looking at undergrad, again, it does not need SAT or ACT. ACT and SAT are requirements for US applications. There is no minimum score, but the better the score, the better the university you will get. You need 2 to 3 years of work in Canada. You can apply for PR only after 1 year of full-time work. Biotech field is the toughest field. Any degree, master's is tough. The easiest entry is postgrad diploma, postgrad certificate. Master's available, but seats are few, so it's a very competitive entry. Once you've done your diploma, yes, you can apply. Both masters and MBA in Canada have almost the same requirements. At this point, masters in computer science in US options are higher, and you would be able to look at more options in America than in Canada for master's degrees. So US undergrad has different forms: Common App, Coalition, California is self-reported, and it's up to you to decide. But most US deadlines are a year in advance, so you would need to plan everything a year in advance, because that's the only way to do it properly. Nursing and maths is probably a requirement in Canada for any course. It's very difficult to do a course without maths. In almost even a psychology needs maths. But they allow you to do something called a virtual high school if you've dropped maths too early, and you can complete the maths requirements. For admissions to bachelor's software engineering, again, it's only marks and IELTS. For an MBA, it would need 3 to 4 years post-study, post your bachelor's degree, 3 to 4 years of full-time work, and a GMAT. MCOM is largely to meet the 16th, 17th year requirement, and then you can apply. You can complete the maths requirements through the Virtual High School of Canada, where you need to do 150 hours of maths, and that meets the requirement. Psychology in Canada is a cognitive science and a human science. You can enter as an undergrad in Canada, US, any country. For psychology, it will include cognitive science as a part of psychology. And then you can decide what you want to do. Again, fashion design, a number of universities offer fashion design, but largely it will be at the vocational program. So, any questions? Yeah. So should I go into questions now? So Canada has, this is the undergrad, UK bachelor's uses the UCAS, one common form, and though the second deadline is 15 Jan, for international students there is a second deadline which is 30th of June. And masters, the advantages of UK is that it has an abundance of master's courses, takes you with 16 years of education, doesn't need GMAT GRE, only IELTS is needed, and the specializations are probably in every possible discipline you can think of. So those who are happy to come back, UK makes a lot of sense. Australia, New Zealand are coming as strong opportunities. Again, 2-year degree gives you a 2-year work visa. A range of universities from like a Melbourne, Sydney who want a 75, 80 to an RMIT and Deakin who will take you with lesser scores. Almost all universities will give you a 2-year work visa. Europe is emerging as a popular choice, mainly because of its costing. But having said that, even though the cost of tuition fee is low, the amount that you spend on living is still high. I would say it would still cost you 15 to 20 lakhs per year, even with the low tuition fee, just because cost of living is very high. At the moment, language is a barrier. Europe is in deep recession. So don't assume that you will get a job so easily just because of the recession. So be careful when you're choosing the country. Please go through the country specific website. If it's France, go through France. If it's Spain, go through Spain to find out what is the job opportunities for you and what are the work visa requirements. So the world has a range of universities to suit every budget. You need to decide your country, your budget, check deadlines and intakes. Factors that you could consider if you're deciding to study abroad is, of course, the student's maturity. Can you cope with life? Because there is no support system, there is no tuition, you simply have to depend on yourself. So how independent are you as a learner? How much are you depending on tuitions here? Because it's a guided learning. For every 1 hour of class, you get about 12 hours of homework. Can you do it on your own? So maturity of handling life, maturity of taking care of your own academics is the primary factor. If you're too dependent on others, then think before you go abroad. And of course, the budget for the entire duration. Parents should not assume that somehow after the first year you will find some means to support yourself. The visa rules are very strict. You cannot just work more than you're legally allowed to. The money that you earn is very little. It doesn't pay for much more than your weekend or your food. It will not take care of your tuition fee for sure. So there is a choice, urban, rural, lot of choices. You have to decide. Almost documents are the same for all universities. You would need mark sheets, recommendation letters. Statement of purpose means the essay to say what you want to study, why you want to study. Any evidence of internships, financial documents to prove that the family has the money to pay for the application and for the entire duration of the education. All countries need proof. If your passport is Indian, there is a lot of debate who needs IELTS, who doesn't need IELTS. My personal take on this is everybody needs it. If you're a Indian passport holder, you need to take the IELTS, which is a simple exam to prove that you can speak, read, write, and understand English. So the working hours, this is again a often misquoted thing, that students can work and take care of themselves. The visa rules are extremely strict. In America, actually, you can't even work off campus. Most countries allow 20 hours a week only on the student visa, and opportunity to work off campus depends on the course and the country. Opportunities for internships are usually during the holidays, and they are paid very little. So be careful before you decide on what you want to do. So if you need any guidance, we are happy to help. Right? You can send me an email and I'm happy to take care of any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Pratibha ma'am. Can we go on to the questions now?
Yeah. So as I've been going along, I've been answering the questions. So should I just type the answers, or?
You can you can
speak about it. So there is a question on being a makeup artist. Every country has courses, but these come under vocational. Makeup artist, usually it's not taught at a university. So getting a student visa is a problem in some countries. UK, you can go for a short makeup artist course on a visitor visa, but you will not be allowed to work after that. The best place for BMM for graduation, media, all countries give it. Best place is probably India, because we have a booming media kind of industry, and at the moment they are doing their best. Media is booming in India, but yes, all possible countries offer you a media course. So it depends. So the best depends on the student, which country you want to go to. and not really there is no ranking which gives everybody an equal parameter. I can read a question on Rotman or Schulich, which is better. Both are very good, depends on where you get in. Obviously, Rotman is a little higher rank than Schulich, but placements from both have been very good. Depends on once you've gotten. Music, you need to, again, music comes under vocational programs and would very rarely get a visa, a student visa. You can go for short duration programs. For US and Canada, yes, you would need a 16th year of education. So you can do the 16th year, you can do an MA, MCom, law. There are a lot of opportunities to do the 16th year. Computer science with artificial intelligence, probably the best done in US because that's where the most research in this field is happening. IELTS is accepted by all universities around the world, so there is no problem. Liberal arts universities, again, every single country has that. US is more famous for liberal arts, so you will have more choices in US versus any other country for liberal arts. Financial support, loans, difficult. Scholarship would completely depend on the average marks of last 3 to 4 years. And remember, scholarships are competitive and the whole world is competing for 5 scholarships. So the probability that you will get in, nobody can estimate whether you will get it or not. Again, engineering, computer engineering, all countries are equal. So you would need to decide which country is better for you. So it's not possible for any outsider to tell you where to go. Academically, I think all countries are offering the same thing. If you're weak in maths, then engineering would be very, very difficult because maths is the base for any kind of engineering. So anybody who's weak in maths and physics should reconsider whether they want to go for engineering. Digital marketing, again, offered everywhere. Cybersecurity offered everywhere. You would then see how you want to, which country you want to work, or are you, if you're happy, then Ireland, UK, Australia, New Zealand all offer master's course. Getting a loan for education under the Indian system, Reserve Bank has certain guidelines. You can get a loan and apply. Once you've got the offer of admission, all banks give a loan. Suppose you want 15 lakhs, you have to give some mortgage, something worth 20 lakhs. So these are Reserve Bank guidelines. So if you go to the bank you are dealing with, they'll give you the details for student education loans. Good colleges for social sciences. When you say major in social science, it's a very, very broad field. It's like saying I want to travel in India. So it's a very big field. So any questions I'm happy to answer.
Pratibha ma'am, can you see the other questions as well?
On the chat downstairs?
Yes.
Okay. So should I just answer them verbally?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So again, medical, people are asking quite often. So medical is quite difficult to do abroad. So medical, I think, is best done in India, because to get a license to practice in medicine, you would need to be first go non-medical, get a residency Canada, then do the local course, because on an Indian passport, it's unlikely that you'll get a license to practice. Uh, all universities offer scholarships. They are not need-based, they are merit-based. So you have to be among the top 1 percentile of the applicant pool to get a scholarship. Software engineering, again, undergrad, I would say US and Canada both offer equally good courses. Canada is a little bit more popular nowadays simply because it's giving you work visas. If you want to apply for PR into Canada, you need to have done a master's and 2 years work experience with a very, very high IELTS. Then you can apply directly for residency, what they call landed immigration. At the moment, it's within 6 months to a year, people are getting landed immigration. But your entire, you need a master's and 2 years work experience to qualify for the points. For September intake, postgrad diploma, there are no deadlines per se, but I would assume most courses would have become full for September intake, but there is no deadline. As I say, you can take your luck and still apply. Physiotherapy after the 12th is not really possible anywhere in the world except India. Australia, US, Canada, it's a post-undergrad degree. UK you can try, and India, of course, you can do it post-12th. IB diploma is equal to A level. There is no great advantage or disadvantage. It's like any other 12th board. At the moment, difficult to judge job options, but I think India is equally good as the rest of the world. Software engineers are in great demand across the world. In every country, at the moment, there is the highest demand for people who can program and code, because software is becoming the basis of all work. So anyone who can customize would get a job. And that holds true, I think, for every country today.
Right. Pratibha ma'am,
Huh.
there are a few questions on the financially weak students who, who want to apply abroad, and what are the scholarship options for them, and something like that, something
There
along.
is no need-based scholarship. It's merit-based.
Right.
So if they have financial weak, there's not a problem, but then they should have extremely high grades. You can't be low on grades and low on finance.
Right. Right. That
So
makes
there
sense.
is nothing called need based, but definitely merit based. So there's no problem in trying for scholarships, but then, and it doesn't go by one mark sheet, last 3 years mark sheets
Mm-hmm.
have to be extremely good. Every single student is auto considered for scholarship.
Right. Um, could you also shed some light on how how the tests are different from each other, when it comes to GRE, when it comes to GMAT and stuff like that?
Actually,
Obviously, they're very different tests, but the question arises as to what seems easier is what a few students have asked.
yeah. So actually, GRE and GMAT are not different any longer. They
Right.
are both very similar in content. Both have a verbal section where there's a lot of comprehensions, a mathematics section or quant section where there are a lot of formula driven questions and logic driven questions, and then 2 essays based on an argument and a presentation.
Right.
Mostly GRE is used for all postgrad courses in US which are non-management,
Right.
and GMAT is used largely for all management courses. But more and more colleges are accepting either or.
Right. Pratibha ma'am, you said that the job opportunities in Europe are a little limited, right?
Yes.
But the education sector there is offering extremely large scholarships. Some of them are for free. Some courses are even free. So
Yeah.
a few questions have come as to um, what about those?
No, those are very good options, but the problem is that even the living, even if the tuition fee is 5,000 euro or you've got a free tuition fee, you still should be prepared to pay at least 15 to 18,000 euro per year for just room, food, insurance is mandatory, books and supplies. And it would still, even if it's a 1 year course, would still cost you 15 lakh.
Okay.
So I would suggest whichever country, try and learn that language before you go to that country. Then at least some kind of jobs part-time would become available.
Right.
Because language does become a big barrier to getting jobs.
And ma'am, you said that different fields require a different country, and some countries are better at some fields, and the others are not. So there's a question about for chemical related fields or for medical related.
No, I disagree. That's sort of wrongly communicated. No, what I was trying to say is all countries offer all courses.
Right.
So if you are saying chemical engineering, it would be equally good in Australia as Canada, as UK, as Netherlands or Germany or France. But it is for the student to decide which country he wants to go to. Because there is no survey that says, oh, chemical is best in Netherlands or France or Canada. Just like India, suppose you were trying India chemical engineering, you have 400 colleges offering it.
Right.
So the student needs to decide what country, and then within that country, find the best university.
Right. So with the view that that the current state of the foreign students has increased by 44%.
Yeah.
Um, why are there so many people who are migrating abroad? Could you shed some light on that as to why this sudden increase in students migrating abroad within the year 2017 and 18? What's different? What's new?
I think one, aspirations are new. Two, money. Earlier, parents were very, I don't want to send my child abroad. I don't want my child to live abroad. So as a society, we want our children to be home. But I think that has been a sea change. Parents are no longer dependent on their children to look after them, and they just want, okay, you go where you want, make the best life you can. That's one of the, I think, just the social cultural change within the families in India is changing. Two, whatever said and done, the Indian youth, the numbers are simply so huge that there are not enough jobs to go around.
Right. Makes sense. Makes sense. Yes. So I think we covered at least most of the questions. There are a few that we missed along the line.
Yeah.
They're extremely similar to the ones you've already answered before. So
So I was trying to, as I was speaking, trying to answer or address the questions I was seeing.
right.
Yeah.
I think the most of the crowd over here is either medical engineering or liberal arts or yeah. So
Medical is the only one that's a long haul,
right.
and it's only China, Ukraine, maybe Eastern Europe, where you can do medical straight after the 12th, and it's cheaper. So it's about 25, 30 lakhs for a 5 year program in Russia, China, Ukraine, Poland. And these are taught in English, and they only need marks and capacity to pay. But medical in Canada is a long journey.
Mhm. So there's another question where um, you could suggest some colleges in Ontario and the British Columbia province. Do you have any idea about that?
Well, Ontario is a very big province. So, University of Toronto, York, Ryerson, Ontario Institute Technology, Western Ontario University, McMaster, Queen's, they're all in Ontario. In the British Columbia region, you have University of British Columbia, Simon Fraser, Fraser Valley, Victoria, Thompson River. They all are in the British Columbia
Right.
state. So enough to cover almost every kind of budget and academics.
Pratibha ma'am, could you tell us a little more about how your SOP should look like if someone is to apply to a good university abroad? What should your SOP have?
So SOP, actually the problem is it varies with each country and each university.
Right.
Largely the statement of purpose should outline four main criteria. What is it that you want to study? What is the purpose? What has influenced your choice of career? Then second part should be why you are relevant to the course. What have you done that merits your application? And third, why is that university important to you? So specific to what you will study, what modules you will take, research projects at that university. So largely statement of purposes are quite academic in nature. And each university will tell you what students should do is actually read the instruction page on the statement of purpose. Most universities will give you tips to write it, or there will be some information on what they expect you to write. So don't do a copy paste that what you've written for US, the same thing you copy for Canada and the same thing you copy for UK. Each country, for example, US likes to see extracurriculars beyond academics. UK doesn't want it. It's not to say A is right or B is right, but UK says, look, just tell me about your relevant academics. I don't want to know that you've played football and community service. So what is important is to read the instructions. It is country specific, university specific, and course specific. And that is the key to writing a good statement. You must first read the question and answer the question.
Right. So supposing someone wants to apply for a master's abroad, what's the importance of work experience for these courses? Let's say if it's an MS or a MBA or something like that.
For an MBA, definitely you need work experience, minimum 3 to 4 years of full-time work at the time of application. It's not when you join.
Okay.
And masters usually does not require experience, but again, you have to prove why you have chosen the course, how is it relevant to your career goal, what has influenced you. So sometimes the children are themselves confused. So then at least 1 year of work is good to help you understand what is it you want to do at a master's level.
Right. There are a few students who are almost in your 12th standard, and they're asking you whether IB courses would be would be better would be more prevalent for would be better considered for a course abroad, or would CPSE or ICSE or
All boards are equally considered, whether you're doing IB, A level, HSC, ISC, CBSE. Your
right.
marks and your relevant courses are more important. There is no university really, except maybe 3 or 4, who say, look, we don't accept the Indian board. Actually, the state boards may have a problem. Our national boards, ISC, CBSC, or IB A level are given equal importance.
Right, right. So we have one fashion designer who's asking whether or not Milan is a good option for fashion designing.
Of course, Milan is sort of the seat of fashion. In Milan, you have Domus University, Domus in Italy, Marigoni, La Moda. So there are a lot of choices. And fashion, actually, Marigoni and Domus, both are giving good scholarships based on portfolio.
Right. What is the difference between Eastern and Western Europe? Like you said, job opportunities are low. Is there any difference between Eastern and Western Europe, specifically considering?
Eastern Europe is considered the more poorer side of uh, Europe. So at the moment, they are technically more friendly to outsiders, so more willing to give you. Definitely, education is a product they are trying to sell, so admissions are much easier than Western Europe. But at the moment, whole of Europe is looking at Indian students, is welcoming Indian students for education, whether it's France or Germany or Spain. It's just the cost of living in Eastern Europe is little cheaper than Western Europe. But jobs across Europe are a problem because of the deep recession. But it could change. It changes every 2 years, so we don't know. At the moment, jobs are just plain just because of the recession and the Brexit.
So a visa is an extremely important factor in whether or not you can go abroad. And a few questions are about whether or not uh, how to choose the best consultancy to process the visa, or should you go directly, or how do you go about that?
Visas can be done once you've got the admit letter as a student. It's very rare. Basically, they want to see the money. So you need to prove liquid funds in the bank equal to at least 1 year's total cost. So you can't say, look, my cost is 35 lakh, but I have 5 lakh in the bank. You will never get a visa.
Right.
If a student is practical and shows enough money to fund his education, visas are rarely refused. The same thing, you have to prove how is the course relevant to your future goal. Why will you come back? Another very important part of the visa is you have to prove you will come back to home country. You can't say, look, why will I come back? I'm spending so much money. The student visa is one of the chief criteria, three chief criteria. The course should be relevant to your career goal. You should have enough funds to support your entire education, and you should give proof as to why you will come back.
Right. So no consultancy is required for this, right?
Yeah, if you are holding a sort of an admit letter, then it's pretty simple.
Right.
But you
And
need to prove these three things.
is GIC compulsory in Canada?
Yes, yes. GIC is compulsory for most colleges and universities. And it's more or less proving to them the same thing, that I have funds, and you put it in the bank to cover your, because what used to happen, that people used to borrow money and put it in the bank, and then when they arrived in Canada, they would say, sorry, I don't have money to survive, and it became a difficult scenario. GIC simply says that you have the funds for room and food, and it requires about 10,000 Canadian dollar.
Okay. A question says that is a PG diploma or a certificate equivalent to a master's in a chosen field?
No, it's not. It's a stepping stone to the master's. So it's not equal, but at the moment, Canadian master's degrees have become so difficult to get and admit. Most students are using the diploma route to enter Canada and then doing a master's.
Mhm. There are a few other questions that have come in. Please feel free to go through them and answer them.
Masters online, except sort of Georgia Tech has a master's in data science. If it's from the top end universities, yes, then it's worthwhile. But the problem with online courses are they are as costly. So it's not really, And to say which course after 12th, it's a very, very broad answer. The course has to be related to your career. So if you are looking at anything, it should be your career should decide your course, not vice versa. Media in Germany would be difficult for Indians because media is uh, very related to communication. And if you're not fluent in the German language, would be difficult to even study media and to get a job because media is communications. If you are not fluent, how will you work? Computers after TY BCom in Canada are not happening because they need a computer science degree for masters or even a PG diploma. You can try for something like management information systems, provided you can prove you have a background in it. Hotel management colleges in Canada are in abundance, probably George Brown, and are some of the ones which offer a diploma in hotel management. Job opportunities after long distance courses, tough. India is helping, but not really so much. Online courses are yet to get job recognition. If you have a relative residing in Canada, unless he's a blood relative, real brother or sister, it doesn't help. You should use them to help you get jobs rather than for anything else. Animation, some of the colleges are, you have Ontario Institute of Technology, Ryerson, Emily Carr College and University. York University recently has started in animation.
Pratibha ma'am, one of the questions that has been asked extremely a lot of times is that a few of the technology enthusiasts in our webinar are asking that what are the best colleges to apply, and whether or not you should choose in a technology point of view, should you choose Canada versus the United States? What are the differences?
Yeah, so no one can answer that question because actually at an undergrad curriculums are the same.
Okay.
So you would go for bachelor's computer science. So in Canada, it would be Toronto, York, Waterloo, British Columbia, Simon Fraser, Western Ontario, McMaster, Queens, McGill.
Right.
And in US, depends on your marks, but you would do Georgia Tech, Illinois Urbana, Purdue, Cornell, Columbia, Carnegie Mellon, UCLA, UC Berkeley. So each country has their own set of great colleges. So it's very difficult to compare, oh, A is better than B.
Right. And so what's the difference between these the private colleges? Like you said, Carnegie Mellon and you said Georgia Tech. So one is a government institute and one is a private institute.
Yeah, so the two main differences between a public and a private college is the costing and the class size. So
Okay.
Carnegie Mellon at the moment is $75,000 a year, inclusive of tuition, room, and living. And Illinois Urbana would be $58,000 a year.
Okay,
But
that's
the
great.
class size would be huge. So at a public university, your class size could be 300, 350 students. At a private university, that too in the first 2 years, later on it becomes smaller and smaller classes. At Carnegie, your class size could vary from 20 to 80 students or 100 maximum. So at a private university, you're paying more, but your class size is small. Having said that, the quality of education at a public and a private is equally good.
Right. Right. One other question is about the IELTS, and what sort of score should you be aiming for to get a good university?
I would say at least 7 in each band should be the minimum target, but the better the score, the better the chances.
Okay. So the latest question is, what are your views related to the masters in the field of architecture? Since it's a 12th plus 5-year course, what are the best universities for architecture?
So masters in architecture, lot of them offer, but problem is Like, so McGill has a brilliant program, so does McMaster, Queen's. But the masters will take students from undergrad, but you should apply early. The seats are very few. Acceptance rates are very low.
Right. And what about the job opportunities in that field?
At the moment, good, because Canada is virgin territory. So there is huge construction going on. So wherever there is virgin territory and new development is happening, of course, architects will be in demand.
What about history and social sciences? More or less research-oriented fields. What about those?
So history would largely lead to teaching jobs.
Okay.
And at the moment, because it's not such a popular subject, it depends on job availability. How many history professors are already there? Do they need more? Because social science is a very broad field. It includes psychology, sociology, economics. It's such a broad field. Depends what you mean by social science and what is the work you would enjoy doing.
Right. Um, okay. So I probably think we have time for a couple of more questions, and then we'll wrap up. Um, uh, One of the questions says, "What's financial engineering abroad?" And one of the questions also says cybersecurity engineering. So basically, these are courses that are not currently available in India, not in any other colleges. So
Cybersecurity is more an offshoot of computer science. So under computer science, you can specialize in artificial intelligence, machine learning, cybersecurity, and they would come more under masters in computer science. Financial engineering is actually finance with a high component of statistics, econometrics, and software. It's financial modeling. So a student should be extremely, extremely good at econometrics, statistics, and data software. It's largely offered in America. Large number of universities offer it, like Columbia, Georgia Tech, Purdue, but it's extremely competitive.
right. Okay. What is the scope for international relations?
Difficult because international relations, your employer is the government.
Right.
So technically, why would a US government employ an Indian passport holder for its diplomatic corps?
Right.
So international relations, after you study that, then India is a better opportunity for work.
Right. Could you also shed some light on majors and minors? So you can choose a course which is a majors, and can your minors be completely unrelated? So there are a few questions on that as well.
Yeah, so this major and minor is more a US concept. It's not so popular across the rest of the world.
Okay.
In US, yes, you can choose, say, a major in business and do a minor in biology. So you can, it's a way to balance interests. So you could have synergy, you could do engineering as your major and minor in business. You could do psychology with music. You could do, so the major reflects your main profession,
Okay.
and a minor usually reflects an interest.
Right.
And but yes, almost all universities offer it, but I think students get too carried away when they are applying. These are things you take into account in the third year at university.
Okay.
And sometimes it's the workload is so heavy that if you even if you do one major, you barely have time to do anything else.
Mm-hmm. All right, Pratibha ma'am, thank you so much for your time. It's been extremely insightful. I think your webinar was loved by everybody. I have a load of
I
people
hope,
saying
yeah.
that it was
Share the
amazing.
feedback with me whenever you want.
Yes.
It's
So
my first this intense webinar. Normally we've done just chat, so it's good. Yeah.
so everybody who has any questions. I know we haven't answered all questions, and I'm very sorry about those whose questions weren't able to ask. Um, you can email your other questions at thecareer.esc@gmail.com. The link is provided on the screen in front of you. And thank you again. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pratibha ma'am, for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for being there. Okay. Take care.
Bye.